This series is not over. Again, it's dependent on health of the Heat. But this series is not over for a few reasons why. Here's why. Number one, this is how the Heat are built on resiliency. Right? They are built on bouncing back from not going down easily and basically always putting up a fight. Right? What do we say about Jimmy Butler? He's a dog. Jimmy Butler's a dog. What do dogs do? They don't lie down. They don't go away easy. They don't fold up shop and just basically pack it in. So they've bounced back all season long. They've bounced back especially in the playoffs. And anytime they face adversity so far, especially in the bubble, they've answered the call. Against the Celtics, game 1 and game 2, they were down double digits in the second half of both games. They came back, kept fighting, found a way, won both of those games. You lose games where the momentum you think starts to shift to the other team. Right, the Celtics started to get some momentum after they won game 3. Start bouncing back. What did the Heat do? Boom, right away squash that. The Bucks, I know as they were down 3-0, it's obviously a tough time to come back from. But they win game 4, start to get momentum in game 5. The Heat squash that. So this is what they do. Eric Spoelstra and Jimmy Butler have set the tone for this entire team. You always talk about Heat culture, you always hear about Heat culture. But they set the tone of not fighting, of not giving up, always fighting. And they are a very resilient group, despite being young, despite counting on the likes of Duncan Robinson, despite counting on the likes of Tyler Hero, 2 young players still getting their experience in the league. They keep fighting, they keep pushing. So they are built on resiliency, so I think they'll bounce back, number 1. Number 2, watching game 1 last night, everything that could have gone right for the Lakers did go right. Coming into this game, the Lakers, since they went down to the bubble of all the playoff teams, made the second least amount of threes per game. Second to last in made amount of threes per game. Now, obviously, they don't rely on the 3 ball a lot. When you have Anthony Davis and LeBron James, you don't have to. But at one point last night, they were 13 of 19 from 3. Just unconscious from deep. And that's when they went on the run in the midway through the second quarter, through the third quarter, when they just built an explosive lead. And basically it was an avalanche falling down in Miami. They were not missing from 3. Danny Green, Anthony Davis, KCP, even Alex Caruso. Everyone was hitting shots from deep. But the issue, at least for me here, is that that's not how the Lakers normally operate. That's not sustainable. At one point in the game, again, and their average dropped because really in the fourth quarter when they're already up by 30, didn't really matter. But when you're at one point up 13 of 19 from 3, yeah, you're going to build an explosive lead. You are going to just completely bury a team. So you couple that with the Heat missing open looks. I do think there will be some regression here to the mean for the Lakers, and I think this is not as bad as it looks for the Heat. And while LeBron James and Anthony Davis, I'm not taking anything away from those two. They've been phenomenal. Anthony Davis has been the best player in the bubble by far in the playoffs. If they continue to play well, he has a legitimate we'll try this again. Thank God I don't speak for a living. He has a legitimate case, there we go, to win MVP of the finals. Because that's how good he's been. He's been dominant. LeBron's been incredible at getting him the ball. When LeBron James is passing first, you're in big trouble. Big, big, big trouble. So those two have been absolutely phenomenal. And maybe this is just me being stubborn, not looking at the facts. But to me, eventually, that supporting cast has to come back and bite them. I don't think in the NBA, even with two phenomenally insane, incredible players with LeBron James and Anthony Davis, can do it by themselves. Rajon Rondo has been great this postseason. Don't get me wrong. KCP has been great. Kyle Kuzma, Alex Caruso, they're all making winning plays. Danny Green's hitting shots here and there. Missing most, but hitting shots here and there. I'm still worried. I'm still not fully convinced this supporting cast can play this great night in and night out. So everything went perfectly for the Lakers in Game 1. The Heat are built on resiliency. And finally, at least, with Eric Spoelstra as their head coach, they will make defensive adjustments. This was a big field-out game in game number 1. And as we saw, when Bam Adebayo went out with an injury or when he went to the bench to rest, Anthony Davis went off. Solomon Hill, Myers Leonard, no matter who you put down, even Andre Iguodala, when they did some switches, no one could slow down the likes of Anthony Davis. But what have we seen? Spoelstra was able to fluster the Celtics with some zone and some different defensive concepts that they weren't ready for. I think he'll throw a ton of different looks on the Lakers and try his best to slow down Anthony Davis. I think he'll be successful. We'll see how long he'll be successful for and if other players are able to step up. But I'm confident Eric Spoelstra will have some new looks and some new wrinkles defensively to try to slow down Anthony Davis down low. Because as we've seen, that's kind of the tone that's set for the Lakers. When Anthony Davis is playing well, playing out of his mind, and dominating down low, that's when the Lakers are at their best. That's the guy you got to take away. That's the guy you got to slow down. So I'm confident things will look a lot different in Game 2. So for those reasons, for the defensive adjustments I think are coming, because everything possibly that could go right did go right last night for the Lakers, and that the fact that the Heat are a resilient bunch. You can't take that lightly. This entire bubble, they look like they've been having fun, enjoying the test, and one of those teams where when they get pushed, they love pushing back. That's why I think this series is not over. Now, again, there's an asterisk. There's a caveat there that if the Heat don't get healthy, they're in big trouble. This series is over. You got to have Bam back. He had a shoulder strain. Exercises are negative after the game. You got to have him play, and you got to have him play a lot starting Game 2. Goran Dragic, plantar tear of his left foot. Now, Woj was tweeting last night that Dragic didn't need a boot walking out. He wasn't limping severely leaving the arena last night. That still doesn't mean that he'll be able to play, and not just play effectively. Because he's been a huge offensive catalyst for this team this year. Huge. He does take a load off Jimmy Butler. Tyler Hero's not hitting shots. He steps up. He's a great, crafty veteran guard that the Heat have really relied on this postseason run. So that's the thing. They do need to get healthy to have a chance to. But if they do, I think the Heat are not going down without a fight. I think we can still get 6 games in this series. I still think the Heat can legitimately win this series. Every single game for baseball was on yesterday throughout the day. A marathon baseball day. 13 hours. Started at noon. Ended at 1 a.m. If you stay up late like yours truly did, you're tired, but man, was it worth it. Because that Yankees-Indians game last night was incredible. That is playoff baseball at its best, honestly. That, to me, is why still playoff baseball is one of the best postseasons around. The stark difference between regular season and postseason, there's no real big time. That is the biggest difference in terms of intrigue, in terms of excitement. Like in the third inning, it's a huge pitch, it's a huge batter. You don't get that really in any other sport. 8 tie or lead changes throughout the game yesterday, back and forth, starting with the 4th inning. At least one team scored in every inning. So the Yankees take the lead, the Indians come tied up. The Yankees take the lead, the Indians tied up. The Indians take the lead, the Yankees tied up. Go ahead and win the game. And this is why also playoff baseball is so great and so much different than the regular season. That game last night was a record. 4 hours and 50 minutes. 4 hours and 50 minutes. The longest 9-inning game in playoff baseball history and regular season baseball history. Now, I will say this. The Yankees do get the win. They do now advance to play the Rays in the ALDS. I'm a little worried about the Yankees bullpen. One of their strengths coming into the year, they lose Tommy Kahnle before he even throws a pitch with Tommy John surgery. And the Yankee bullpen did the one thing, especially in the playoffs, you can't afford to do. Struggle to throw strikes. So I'm curious. I'm concerned, I should say. But hey, positive news, everyone in the Yankee lineup, up and down the lineup, contributed, which is what you need, and part of the reason why they got past the Indians. Man, Rays-Indians is going to be so much fun. There is no love lost between the two. And if you forget, basically have a little beanball action going forward here. Yankees throwing at Rays, Rays throwing at Yankees. Kevin Cash in the postgame a few weeks ago basically saying he has a full stable of arms that throw 98, ready to basically throw at Yankee players on command if need be. I don't think we'll get that in the postseason because ejections are too costly, suspensions are too costly. But there is no love lost between the Rays and the Yankees. The Rays have owned the Yankees this year, really the past few years, but this year especially. I'm really, really, really excited. That's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of intensity. That is going to be playoff baseball at its finest. We'll go from the good with the Yankees, what they did to advance, to the bad. If you're a Twins fan, honestly, I don't even know what to say anymore. We've talked about Falcons fans this week just being despondent. I mean, that is just brutality. Heartbreak City anytime you root for that team. The Twins in the playoffs, man. Like, I don't even know if you're a Twins fan, how you get excited. The Twins lost yesterday to the Houston Astros. They were swept, right? In a 3-game series, Houston won the first game with a 9th inning comeback. They won yesterday. So a team with the worst record or tied for the worst record in the playoffs. The Astros were under 500 heading into the playoffs. Twins were the number 2 seed, or the number 3 seed, I apologize. Lose. They're out. Their postseason losing streak is up to 18 games. 18 games. Could you imagine that? Not 18 years since they won a playoff game. The Twins have lost 18 consecutive playoff games. That's honestly impressive because I don't even know how that's, it's possible. Now, as we know, in the playoffs, it's hard to win every game, right? Obviously, you're playing against the best teams. It's hard to win. Baseball, football, basketball, hockey, whatever. It's hard to win. It's the best of the best. It should be the hardest to win. But that said, there's something about baseball where that, to me, is the one sport, maybe similar to hockey when you get a hot goalie, you can luck yourself into a win here and there. You get a hot starting pitcher. The other team's pitcher's not, maybe not pitching that well that game. There is a chance where you could just win one game. And there's a reason why you rarely see, even in the regular season, 18-game losing streaks of any team. The Pittsburgh Pirates are god-awful. The Detroit Tigers stink. Even them, it's hard to lose 18 games in a row. Eventually, baseball luck, I'm sorry, you just luck into one. There's really no other analysis but to say you can luck into a game, even in the playoffs, even in the postseason. You can luck into a game. Your starting pitcher is hot. Their starting pitcher makes one bad pitch you capitalize on. It's super hard to lose 18. I can't say that number enough. 18 postseason losses in a row. Going back to 2004. And even worse for the Twins, 16 of those 18 losses were to the Yankees. They faced the Yankees since 2004 every time the Twins have made the playoffs in the first round. They've lost every single game. So you're angling to avoid the Yankees. They did that. You get the Astros. No starting pitching really outside of Zach Greinke. The lineup's been hit or miss. They're under 500. And here we go. You lose 18 games in a row and you can't even win one game at home. Twins fans, I am so sorry. Honestly, again, I don't know how you get excited going to the playoffs. I thought this is a team that could really honestly compete this year. No Josh Donaldson hurt, but still. 18 games in a row to not even luck into one win in the postseason in 16 years. It honestly is impossible to do. So Twins fans, I'm sorry. And quickly on the Astros side, Carlos Correa talking a lot of smack yesterday. Basically asking where the haters at. How mad are you now that basically the Astros got it done? They won this year after all, obviously, the junk that everyone threw at them in this offseason. Hate to tell you, Carlos Correa, being the Twins in a wild card series, if you're trying to think that validates now you're all of a sudden your 2017 World Series title, like all of a sudden now that the cheating goes away, that we forget that, oh yeah, you guys didn't use technology to egregiously cheat to help win a World Series, you're lost, man. I'm sorry. You couldn't be more wrong. You couldn't be more lost. Asking where are the haters at now? What are they going to say now? Because you beat the Twins, a team that can't win a postseason game to save their lives. They lost 18 in a row. If the Twins were playing the Little Sisters of the Poor right now in the playoffs, they would probably lose. So beating the Twins is not that big of an accomplishment, one. And it does anything but validate your 2017 World Series title. Does not help us forget the 2018 cheating or the 2017 cheating at all. At all. So no, you're anxious just like all your other Astros teammates. You're upset. All the hate that you got this offseason. But you did it to yourself, man. You and your teammates did it to yourself. And if anything, trust us. No one's going to forget 2017 and how the Astros won the World Series. And I can promise you, when the Astros lose, next series, the series after that, the World Series, everyone is going to make them remember you can't win without cheating. Nothing you can do on the field will validate 2017 in the public's mind. I can promise you that. So stop trying.